We are back. Jason, you shared some. Ah, fuck. That is hot. Sorry.
What did you grab? So perfect.
The coffee mug was so damn hot.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Somebody give me a Yeti.
That thing is
the cosmic cup.
The cosmic cup is it's handmade pottery or something.
I just felt the Big Bang in my hand.
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
That's what she said.
Yeah, cosmic radiation.
You are the Big Bang, bro.
I guess. Well, aren't you? Well, you are too. So
I
is
would
everybody
say
else.
One of the greatest attributes that you have.
What is that?
Your humility. It's so funny.
You know what? I am the Big Bang. Yeah.
You're humbly creating.
Alex, you need to be more humble.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Most people's perception of humility is
meekness.
Yeah, which then, the meekness is not, it's not how we view it as fear and cowardly. And being meek is you can be strong and sure of yourself and still, it's like the samurais in the old days.
Meekness, unrepining submission. Does that sound anything like me? No.
Just that word sounds horrific. Not submission, but
humble.
Unrepining?
Yeah, I don't like that at all. What's humbleness?
I think pine is trees.
Being modest or a lacking in pride or arrogance. Am I arrogant? I don't think I'm that arrogant.
No.
The hell does arrogant mean?
Exactly.
Hold on. What does arrogant mean?
Don't let somebody influence your...
Exaggerating or disposed of one's own worth or importance. If I said I'm important, all we do is for humanity. Why does that make me more important?
I know. I think it's people that don't understand.
Projecting.
Yeah. Just read our YouTube quotes and you'll be...
Yeah, and you'll understand how un-arrogant I am. Anti-arrogant.
Trolls.
This is the hottest cup around.
It burnt your fingers?
Oh, it's so hot. I don't even know how coffee
You have
gets
climbing
so hot.
hands too, so you have pretty tough hands.
Yeah, I'm like holding onto it and I'm like, oh, wait, am I? Oh, and then there was
that was great. We start to show off with that.
Such a delay.
You in pure pain.
Yeah, such a delay from the nerve to the brain.
Insane in the membrane.
Insane in the membrane.
On our Tartle show, our TCAS show, which is one of our sponsors, and we do that show, technology show. You guys need to check that out. Type in TCAS by Tartle, and you can watch technology. We're having this guy on.
Ethan Cross.
And this is a book about the voice in our head and why it matters. He's a neuroscientist and...
leading neuroscientist.
Yeah,
from University of Michigan, I think.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have that. And you guys, there's a lot of crossover what we talk about on this show. You almost need to listen to both of them, too.
But you got to be humble.
In my humble opinion, if you want to be successful... If you want to be productive in society, the only way to get there is listening to both of our podcasts. If you want to be intelligent, if you want to
become a seventh dimensional,
if you want to attract the ladies,
the only way, the guys,
the only way,
to do it
is to listen to both of our podcasts.
That's the only way to do it.
That's the only way.
The only true, I think in the Bhagavad Gita said the only true way to enlightenment is Tartlecast and HDL.
Yeah, it's in there. I'm
pretty sure
there's a new English interpretation.
There's a new English one, and I think didn't we do the rewrite?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's on higherdensityliving.com. We've been creating our own glossary.
We got a great price, $9.99 and 99 cents.
We're humbly changing.
Yeah, and it's at a
text.
Humble price of $1,000.
Yeah. When Moses was holding up the 10 Commandments, we made 11th.
Yeah, we made an 11th.
Thou shalt listen to.
Yeah, thou shalt listen to HDL. Thou shalt not listen to Moses.
Exactly. Yeah. And any bullshit far right fascism, or any bullshit woke far left shit, you cut all that off.
That's got to go.
You don't listen to Fox News anymore, CNN, MSNBC, none of those.
No, you
cut all that off.
Thou shalt take a unity-based approach.
And you just listen to our two podcasts.
Shall and will. Shalt is a combination of shall and will.
That's cool.
Yeah. Shall.
There's a lot of English words that are very interesting. They were talking about that. I was listening to a guy from a literary aspect on the King James Bible.
Uh-huh.
Because in the time, in the 1600s, they had groups of. So what they would do is they would take different books of the Bible. And these were all leading, like they're leading. It would be like us getting all our 76 of our leading minds, like English literature minds, historians and stuff like that. Get them together, and then they would put them in like groups. So they had like 10 groups of 7 each, and then they would interpret part of the Bible, and then they would give it to the other group, and then let the group critique their work. But it was all about King James was really, which
that's interesting.
He loved to have his. Everybody thinks he's some righteous person because he wrote the Bible, but when you read about King James, he liked to have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
with the ladies and the gents.
Heated.
And
yeah, King James the First.
Yeah,
yeah.
But he was really what the cool part about it. And I was listening to an English professor the other day. He said probably with all the books that are out there, the Bible is probably the most well done, just because of that. Like the old King James Bible, and he was talking about like the will, the shout, like they're very specific in
the orders.
The words.
Do this, do that.
Yeah, but it's 1600, so okay.
He was a strong. Yeah, I love this. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
James I, right, King of England, was a strong advocate of royal absolutism. Of course, you're going to say that. You're the king. You're advocating for yourself.
I am God.
And if anyone says anything otherwise, you cut their head off.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Royal absolutism.
Yeah, I need you to pay taxes.
Yeah.
So that I can do whatever I want. But everybody made him to be this godly saint that helped interpret, that funded to get the Bible into the English language, because that was really important. For people to be able to read, and because before it was in Greek and Hebrew. So it was in the Textus Receptus. The New Testament was on the Greek, and the Hebrew was. Oh,
come on!
I know it. I know. It's gonna hit me here in a second.
Yeah, the only thing hitting you is my fist in a moment.
Humbly.
I'm gonna humbly throw a fist that way.
I love it. Well, let's get into a beautiful part of the Northwest.
What does the Northwest have to do with King James?
And there's a town called McMinnville.
What?
McMinnville.
Minnville.
That something happened in the 1950s. Now, listen to this.
I got to get some stats on Oregon, though.
Well, I already did. 30,000 people in 2019. So imagine the 1950s, this small farming town. Imagine how many people they had in the 1950s. Probably 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So this is a very rural. This is a very RuPaul.
I love RuPaul.
I know, yeah, same.
Sassy.
I like all those. They have it here. They have this really cool brunch you can go to. Where they have. It's not over by Nob Hill, but they have. I think they still call them drag queens.
Yeah, it's It's always drag.
Yeah, but they have it, and then they serve you and all that.
That sounds
and they
fantastic.
do like cool stuff.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, exactly. I love that stuff.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine. She loves all of that and watches all those shows and stuff. So any type of anything that has to do with that, she's always inviting me. I've gone to because the clubs are opening back up. So finally, I guess we're in turquoise color in New Mexico. The governor.
We're in turquoise, not in green. We're in turquoise.
Fascist governor. Yeah. That's a woke fascist. Can you be woke and fascist at the same time?
No, that's a paradox.
Well, we've created that in New Mexico. We've created lots of things. A nuclear bomb to destroy the whole. We're like, it's New Mexico. We wipe out New Mexico, part of Colorado, part of Texas. We're fine.
No big deal.
That's what they were thinking.
Yeah, it's okay. No one lives out here. Just like McMinnville. Where the heck is this place called? I can't even get it straight.
McMinnville,
Oregon.
Yes, McMinnville, Oregon.
Why does McMinnville, Oregon have a Wikipedia page? We can't even get a Wikipedia page.
I know. We need to. We will.
Pay someone off.
Yeah. You can. There's people that will get you. It's the same way as these New York Times bestsellers. There's lots of cheesiness with that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a guy come on that I think he wrote a book about that, where there's these small bookstores and they count numbers and all that stuff. They don't go off of Amazon.
No.
There's all trickery.
That's all true.
I want to know the behind the scenes.
By the way, I got your historical population. When did this occur? 1950?
In 1950.
There were 6,000 people.
So this is a very rural town.
There's nobody around.
And this was May of 1950.
Okay, so we're at a nice time to be outside. It's probably gorgeous in Oregon in May.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never been there.
Well, he's a farmer, so he's out every day.
Well, and he's always looking at the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's this dude's name?
Paul and Evelyn Trent.
Oh, Trent.
I wonder what their last name is. There's a lot of Dutch farmers and stuff like that up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Trent surname. Interesting.
There's a lot of German, a lot of Dutch.
Anglo-Saxon Trent.
Probably English, huh?
Yeah, it's Anglo-Saxon.
So why is this so important?
It means trespasser.
That's cool.
What a cool.
That are cool. Yeah,
That's
I'm a trespasser.
freaking cool. I'm a trespasser.
Well, that's funny because
I'm a family of trespassers.
They experience the trespasser in their skies.
Yeah. Nice bridge.
Yeah, UFOlogy history
UFO
was created.
Yeah.
And I got this. I just want people to know there's cool shirts. We wear them sometimes from saucerco.com. So I got this article from them. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Just so people know. And the Saucer Co shirt inspired us to. We're going to be creating some saucer shirts.
Yeah, and I think
Some
you guys will
HDL
like
and
them.
our logo and stuff like that. So.
They're going to look phenomenal.
Yeah, they're already
like,
looking.
Absolutely phenomenal. All right. May 11th, 1950. Husband and wife on a farm in Oregon, small county, Yam Site or Yam Hill, I think the county is.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 6,000 people in the town. He's hanging outside in May. And then all of a sudden, there's this metallic disc-shaped object hovering above his wife. And they're just outside of the farmhouse. So the thing's just hovering there. Obviously, you'd be like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
It's 1950. So I wonder how much of the actual news made it there. So this is post-Roswell. So this is at like a heightened time when people are like,
there's
UFO,
a
UFO.
they have a newspaper there because we're going to get into that. So people are reading newspapers. So I'd imagine they would know about UFOs.
Yeah.
Probably some sci-fi books. Maybe they had purchased going into town.
Absolutely. And then they had that scientific panel that was paid off by the CIA that was doing all the stuff on like debunking UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
That's all around that time. This is like hot to trot right now in the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you got the beginning of the Cold War. You got the end of World War II. You got a bunch of fascist scientists doing weird stuff in the U.S. And we got aliens flying around because we're messing with nukes. It's happening in New Mexico and it's happening over here. But why is it that they're up in Oregon? And of all the people...
Well, how far is Hannaford?
What the hell's Hannaford?
Type in Hannaford Nuclear.
Hannaford Nuclear.
I just thought of this.
Why did you just think of this?
I think it's in Washington State.
Oh, Hannaford site.
When did that start? When did the site start? Because I don't think that's far from here.
This is very interesting. The Hannaford site decommissioned nuclear complex, U.S. government, Columbia River in Benton County in Washington. I wonder how far away it is from there.
God,
it started operation in the 60s. It was being built beforehand, though.
That's why I wonder if they were checking it out.
Well,
There's nuclear waste there.
Well, it was established in 1943 because they were using it for the manufacturing of the first nuclear bomb that led to the Trinity site out here in New Mexico. Do you know how they do that? So it requires a massive amount of energy to power a magnet. And they put this magnet over your plutonium processing to get from like 235 or 236 to like 238. But you have to pull certain parts of the isotope out with a strong electromagnetic field. And that almost like cures and purifies this plutonium into a new state, right? As you're moving the electrons around through this magnetic field. And so that's where that processing happens. So 40% of the power usage in the United States during this time actually went towards plutonium production because those magnets had to be that strong to make those pure isotopes.
And how long does one of these create power for? Hundreds of years?
Well, no, that was just for the bombs.
Oh, just for the bomb.
They were only trying to power these magnets for the bombs.
Can we use this nuclear power to power Bitcoin?
Yeah, there are guys who are doing that now.
Yeah.
So they're going to power plants and like putting like the server racks and stuff like actually at the plants. It's the cheapest cost.
It's the cheapest, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So how far away?
So Hannaford from McMinnville.
Okay. So Hannaford, Washington. We're trying a theory right here, guys. To McMinnville,
Oregon.
This is so hard to say these names. So
It's about an hour and a half.
it's 3 hours away. Okay, so I don't know if our theory works. Well, it might.
Because they could buzzed up there and then
3 hours for us is like a bit, but it's like it's not even that far, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just that's the only nuclear thing I know that was going on up there.
Yeah, well, that's all that we
I know
knew
there's
of.
Oregon bases though. There's Oregon military bases.
Yeah.
So
Do you know over? It was not by Gallup, but maybe an hour after Gallup. Have you seen those bunkers that are built into this? Just like thousands of them built into the side of the ground. Fort McGinnis here in New Mexico.
I seen pictures online. I haven't
Absolutely I'm like, why are there so many of those? And they're just built right into the rock. Who knows how far on those go? Anyway, so I don't know about our theory, but let's continue to talk about what's going on here. She ran to call her husband so he could grab the camera to photograph the object. So she's standing there, right? And she's like, Paul, get the damn camera. There's a Frisbee in the sky. He's like, and he's looking at Evelyn. You got it, Evelyn. And he's got like the straw coming out of his mouth. He's like
typical farmer.
He's running to go get it. He's probably limping inside, taking his sweet ass time. All right. So her husband, Paul Trent, managed to snap 2 photos before the object, here's the most important part, silently flew away. Mm-hmm. People are very well aware of this time of what requires an aircraft to move. Propulsion through noise. Okay? You hear the planes buzzing by. You're in your flight paths. So the fact that these two both said that this thing silently flew away is something quite substantial. And what's nice about the photographs is that they have their farmhouse in the photo. So having this point of reference from where they actually took it allows for proper scaling to see if it's a legitimate photo. Otherwise, you could hang a model essentially very, very close, and you can just set your focus to it. But
there was a lot of people doing that. They were putting on like a fishing pole with an invisible string.
But looking at the macro focus of this whole photo in black and white, because that's what it's doing. It's just taking a flat shot. And guys, we have it up here on the TV screen. It's really wonderful to see where this is. So that, judging by the height, I got to say that's 70 feet in the air? And it doesn't look that large. Mm-mm. If that's a telephone pole, what's that thing, 30 feet across? Mm-hmm. It's funny that we're around this general area, like most of the craft we learn about, they're around that size. Anywhere from like 25 to 40 feet.
Well, I mean, with the White Sands instance that we've done like 17 episodes on, there was no one in the craft.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Why would someone be in this one?
So you don't need to, yeah.
And every time we look at a craft, we're like, somebody's got to be inside. Like, no one's in there.
Yeah, so, because the Roswell one had 2 robots in it, right? Pretty
much.
Because the Grays are...
Yeah, I read about the stone the other day. I don't want to get into it. So I did make a really shitty joke the other day. I was down in Old Town. There was a piece of foil on the street and like all the tourists around, like really shiny foil. I was like, holy shit, it's the Roswell incident. Nobody thought it was funny except for me. People did hear it.
That's great.
I thought it was hysterical.
That's perfect, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, it's the Roswell incident. No one thought it was funny.
You should think it's funny.
I thought that was hilarious. It's a giant piece of foil.
It's not even that big of a deal.
No.
If you think about it.
I thought it was comical.
So the U.S. Air Force, a ship crashed.
Yeah.
There was 2 robots inside of it. The U.S. Air Force tried to cover it out.
Okay.
And then they got some pictures. But then there's lots of false pictures out there, of course, with all of this.
Hillary Clinton covers shit up all the time.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the U.S. Air Force do it?
Yeah, exactly. Over and over and over again.
That's my bridge.
It's what the government does.
They like covering stuff up. Mm-hmm. Secrets. Here's what I find interesting, though, about the incentive of Paul and Evelyn. They took these pictures, right? Mm-hmm. They probably sat around and like talked about it for a bit. He didn't develop for these photos for until like a month later. Mm-hmm. He was in no rush. It was like an event that occurred in their life, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. We took the pictures. And then when you develop them later, you're like, oh, I should probably put some more attention to this. If you wanted like all your fame, to happen, because you're in a small town,
you
want to get people, they're like, oh, I gotta get some limelight on me. I need every opportunity to change my life.
Running into the running to the drugstore to get those produced right off the bat.
Well, first of all, I would. I'd already have my camera plugged in my laptop. I'd be going nuts. I'd make like 10 backup copies.
Yeah. Put it all over the internet real quick.
And if I die, it like releases like a hard drive somewhere on the hard drive dump on the internet. But that's why I find this an interesting fact. And so, because if you think about their own opportunity, they're like, oh, I want to go to the newspapers. I want to talk about this. I want to say, oh, it's me. Because there was a lot of people at that time coming out saying, oh, I saw a UFO. I took a ride in a UFO. I did this. It was like so much about the culture. It was easy to find like an appropriation of limelight for yourself by talking about a false story. And what I like about this is the way the photo was taken and the fact that they didn't develop these things immediately and they didn't immediately go to the press. If you think about the incentives of these individuals, the guy's a farmer in a town of, him and his wife were farmers in the town of 6,000. You would be clawing for every opportunity possible. But this to them was not like one of those opportunities.
But, I've met a lot of really simple farmers, and I'm not saying simple in a bad way. I'm just saying they live very simply, and they really don't have a desire to be famous. They enjoy the peacefulness of living on the land and living off the land. You know what I mean? So there's a reasoning behind that.
And there's also reasoning behind why that craft happened to be there for Paul and Evelyn. Listen, if you're that advanced, you know exactly every life form that is underneath you observing you all the time.
They're not going to be like, oh shit, we got busted again. The paparazzi hit us.
No, it's a very deliberate showing of self. Otherwise, you never show yourself. You don't have to fly around, and be, visible all the time. You can be invisible.
Yeah, and we can see what happened. I mean, if you look on June 8, 1950.
And here's the cool part. When they actually developed the photos, they showed them to their friend Frank Wortman. He's the one who took them to the newspaper.
Frank's like, oh.
They had no intention of going to the papers at all. Because they're like, this is just an event that occurred in life. But the thing is, why Evelyn and Paul? Did these people piloting this craft know they had this friend, Frank Wortman? Did they know the outcome of these events? Is that why they actually got this started? So he goes to the local newspaper, this guy does, their friend Frank. And the paper quickly sent out a reporter to the Trent's farm to learn about their incredible sighting. Okay? So when initially asked to borrow the negatives, the Trents couldn't even find them. They're like, I don't even know where we put them. It's just not a focus of their life. So it's
you also have to think this is the McMinnville local paper with 6,000 people.
Yeah.
So this reporter's like probably how much it's probably farming stuff. Their paper at that time was probably very localized, there's not a lot of, probably got the main news on the front, kind of what the nation's doing.
This guy's in his cold sweat though. He's like, this is my break.
Yeah, this is the story of a lifetime. This is where I get into the New York Times. Yes, exactly.
Get the hell out of Oregon. That's what he's thinking. So, so they're in there and they can't find the negatives in the house, only to find out that the children of Paul and Evelyn were playing with the negatives that were in the couch cushions.
Yeah, they didn't care. Yeah.
The way this all lines up is hysterical.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's akin to someone puts like a Ferrari. I'm not saying this in any offensive way. They put a Ferrari in front of some cavemen.
Yeah.
What are the cavemen going to do? They're going to beat the shit out of it with their clubs.
Yeah, and then use it for...
Yeah, and pull it apart, like use the rubber as a loincloth. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a perfect example. This is why extraterrestrials don't give to humans.
No.
Because that technology they give us, we're the apes that are looking at it and saying, well, how can we use this to hit each other with over the head?
But think about the perceived value.
Yeah.
This family,
the tire iron would be the most perceived value thing on the Ferrari.
Yeah, I know that. But the family and the children don't even perceive the value of the photographs. I think there's something, there's like an innocence to like this event that occurred for them.
That's what makes it so special, I think.
Which makes this event so special on May 11th, 1950. Now, here's what's interesting, is that both of the photographs, it looks like he relatively shifted the camera to the right because less of the oil tank is caught in the frame against the house, the farming house. the barn, but the pitch of the mountains, maybe he zoomed in. I think he zoomed in the best he could. Or he walked over to the left. He was probably walking around.
Does it say what camera he had?
No, I don't need it.
Because some of them have those little, those square little tiny from 1950s.
Yeah.
And they would just have the little zoom.
Yeah, but we also have to consider he's poor.
Right.
So 1950s, what's a poor man's camera?
Yeah.
Right? So this thing's fully analog.
Kodak Eastman.
This thing's fully analog. And you really think this guy's out there like trying to make a craft like float in the sky?
No.
In McMinnville? I can't even get the town right.
McMinnville.
Here's what's interesting is the pitch of the craft. So I can't capture the movement because I haven't seen it in video, but considering the physics here, the angle at which it's hovering at tells me that it couldn't be on a wire, or where you'd have to suspend it on the wire would be shifted to the left side of the disc to account for that sort of pitch that you're looking for. And then it also begs another question. Why is it that Paul and Evelyn, if they were to create something fake, why would they want to put it at a pitch? Why not just have it sit flat? What's with that?
Well, and then on top of that, with the innocence that's going on, when you reframe it in this innocence that's going on, he's not the reporter taking a picture.
No,
he's a basic farmer.
Yeah,
like I said, in a good way. He's a very simple farmer.
Yeah, he's not a photographer.
And he's like, look, there's a metallic object floating. They probably knew about UFOs, and it's like, oh shit, let me go get the camera, honey.
Wouldn't you be excited?
I mean, yeah, exactly. They were simply excited, but they weren't excited enough. They waited a month to get it done. The kids are playing with the pictures. They're just
lost the negatives.
They were just like, that's an event.
Yeah, and what's cool is that the negatives were given to the reporter,
right?
Which means they weren't adulterated.
Yes.
The photo itself was not adulterated.
That's important.
And what's cool here is that the craft afforded them enough time for two angles of the shot. The first one's a profile. And the profile angle shows you that it has an emitting or receiving antenna on the top. And that it's got a completely flat bottom. So it's almost like a bell, but like a really squished bell with an antenna.
Yeah, scroll down to this article to the very bottom. They have a picture. I don't know if this is true or not, but they have a picture of a camera. I don't know if
that's got to be his camera. That's got to be him.
Yeah, this camera is like one of those accordion ones. So there is a zoom on there. It looks like,
honestly, like freaking props to him. So first of all, it says Oregon farmer photographs flying saucers. There was only one. There was no multiple accounts of this, right?
Yeah. So what I want to do is for part 2. I want to get into...
How did we get through 30 minutes already?
I want to get into... I know, because it's UFOs.
The press?
I love it. I want to get into the press and then the investigation, and then we have testimony.
All right, let's do it.